Thank you so much for this recap, Johnny. Let's get started with January. Undoubtedly the first major story of the year happened on the 5th of January when a door plug on Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 plane flew off in mid-air. The plane landed safely with no injuries on board, however this ended up calling for a full-scale review on all Boeing 737 MAXs in the US. Let's now go to the Kingdom of Denmark. On the 14th of January, Frederick X became the king after his mother Margaret II retired from the throne after 52 years, and on the 17th of January, Japan became the 5th country in the world to make a soft landing on the moon. A soft landing is a controlled landing where there are no serious damages made. On the 24th of January, a Russian plane transporting 65 Ukrainian prisoners crashed near Kroshansky district, killing everyone on board. Let's head to February now. On the 4th of February, the president of Namibia, Hage Geingob, died from cancer. He was 82 years old. Ngozi Mumba, the vice president, took over his duties, and more about the presidents, but this time in Finland. On the 11th, Alexander Stubb was elected as president in Finland's closest presidential elections to this day. On the 16th of February, major news broke out the death of Alexei Navalny. He was one of Vladimir Putin's biggest competitors. Officially, it said he died from a disease. Now it is time to head to March. This time we are going to talk about Sweden. On the 7th of March, Sweden became the last Nordic country to join NATO. Sweden became the 32nd member of the alliance, founded in 1949. A couple of days later, on the 13th of March, the European Union passes the world's first law regarding artificial intelligence. Let's talk more about Russia now, because on the 15th to the 17th of March, Putin was re-elected as president for the 5th term. On the 26th of March, news broke out that a container ship had hit a bridge in the United States, causing the bridge to collapse, killing 6 people. On the 3rd of April, an earthquake 7.5 on the Richter scale hit Taiwan, causing small tsunamis to form. In more positive news, Peter Pellegrini was elected as president of Slovakia on the 6th of April. On the 29th of April, there were reports of floods in Brazil killing dozens and leaving thousands homeless. Also, on that day, 50 people died in Kenya when a railway related to a dam failed. This whole month was filled with missile attacks between Iran and Israel. Let's now head to May, and specifically May 10th. That day, the United Nations granted the State of Palestine permission to be seated amongst other members of the states. And in more political news, because 5 days later, or on the 15th, the Prime Minister of Slovakia was shot while in a meeting. He was critically injured but managed to recover. And on the 19th, Luis Abinader was re-elected as President of the Dominican Republic. Let's go to the 26th of May now, as that was when Gitanas Nausėda was elected as President of Lithuania. And to end this month, Donald Trump, the former President of the United States, and actually the future President of the country, was found guilty on 34 counts in his hush money trial. This was the first time a former president has been found guilty of a crime. Let's now head to June, and this time to Iceland. On the 1st of June, Halla Tómasdóttir was elected the 7th president of Iceland. A day later, on the 2nd, another woman won a historic presidential election. In Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum was elected president. On the 24th of June, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, left the UK after being freed from prison after a plea deal with the United States. This officially ended a dispute that had lasted since 2010. And in July, Keir Starmer became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the 4th one this decade. And as many of you know, one of the biggest news stories this year happened on the 13th of July. That was the day when Donald Trump was shot in the ear in his political rally for presidential elections in the United States. On the 26th of July, the Olympic Games in Paris officially started. with one of the most controversial opening ceremonies in the game's history. And the month ended with devastating news from both the UK and India. On the 29th, a 17-year-old man from the United Kingdom stabbed 3 children to death and injured 10 others, 8 of whom were children. This started one of the biggest protests against immigration in the UK for years. And on the 30th of July, news broke that a landslide in Kerala had killed 334 and injured hundreds more. On the 24th of August, around 600 citizens in Burkina Faso were victims of a mass murder by Islamics associated with Al-Qaeda. But now, let's move over to September. On the second day of the month, Brazil banned the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, in the country. And on the 7th, Abdelmajid Tebboune was re-elected as president of Algeria. And more about new presidents, because on the 21st, Ainura Karuma Disvaki is elected president of Sri Lanka. On the 23rd of September, 569 people were killed in Lebanon after an Israeli airstrike. This was the deadliest day in 18 years, or since 2006. And this month ended with the devastating news from America. Hurricane Helene had made a landfall in Florida and ended up taking the lives of 235 and left more than 685 people missing. Now, in October, Kais Saied was elected president of Tunisia on the 6th of October. A day later, Hurricane Milton became the first hurricane to reach the pressure below 900 millibars in nearly 20 years. On the 30th of October, Spain experienced the worst floods in the country in nearly 50 years. Over 200 are killed and many more were left missing. It is said that a year's worth of rain came down in under 8 hours. Let's head to November now, because on the 3rd day of the month, Mir Sandu was re-elected as president of Moldova. And of course, as many of you know, Donald Trump was re-elected as president of the United States on the 5th of November for his second term. In Azerbaijan, COP29, a climate change conference, was held. It was criticised heavily for its poor human rights in the country, as well as the chief executive of the event recorded trying to make a potential oil and gas deals to other countries during the conference. Let's finally end this in December. One of the most famous criminal cases of this decade took place on the 4th of December when Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, was shot and killed. The suspect, later identified as Luigi Maggioni, became loved by a large part of the internet for his attractiveness. It looks like the internet took the murderer's side. On the 7th of December, Notre Dame officially reopens after the fire that shocked the world in 2019. And let's end this overview on news that broke on the 24th of December, when Parker's solar probe became the first man-made object to touch the sun, as experts are calling this. But this wraps up this overview. Back to you guys at the main desk.